Hey guys, today this is Evans gambling. This is Evans um NFL sports show, and basically I want to talk to you guys about the NFL. This year, we've been seeing a lot of weak defenses. A lot of these defenses have been allowing 30 points a game, been allowing averages of 250 yards allowed. They've been allowing 250 passing and 100 yards on the ground. Teams have been giving up 300 plus yards consistently this year. Defenses just aren't what they used to be as far as they're allowing guys to get a lot of yards. And you got kickers missing 30, 40-yard field goals. And it just seemed like they used to usually always make those, and they would rarely miss a 40-yard kick or a 30-yard kick. And it would only be 3 or 4 kickers out the whole league that would just keep missing short kicks. Versus now, around the league, it's a lot of kickers that miss a lot of short kicks, and they act like they can't even make an extra point half the time just because they have to kick it from the 15-yard line instead of kicking it from the 5-yard line or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyways, I want to tell you my predictions that I had in the past for who's going to win the games on Sunday and Monday. I predicted the Steelers were going to blow out the Jags. I think they done it. My predictions were 35-10. I don't remember who won all these games, but I predicted the Steelers would win by 25. I predicted the Lions would lose to the Panthers 24-21, but really they got blown out. They got shut out 20 something to 0, I didn't expect the Panthers to do them like that, but the Lions aren't too strong, you know. And the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater's a solid quarterback. I predicted the Patriots would beat the Texans, but the Texans actually beat the Patriots, and I predicted the Patriots would barely beat the Texans by 7. I predicted the Titans versus Ravens game. The Ravens will win. The Titans will win 35-28. That game was close. I think the Titans ended up winning in overtime by, I don't know if it was 3 or 7 points or whatever. But yeah, I think I was pretty on point. I predicted the Browns would beat the Eagles by 8, but the Browns ended up beating. I predict the Browns will beat the Eagles 21-13, but the Browns actually beat them 22-17. So I wasn't too far off point on that one. I predicted the Saints would beat the Falcons 38-24, but really, the Saints blew them out. I think it was 29 to, I don't remember. But I just know the Saints blew out the Falcons. I predicted the Saints would beat them pretty badly. I predicted the Bengals would beat the Washington by 4, but the Washington actually beat the Bengals and they hurt Joe Burrow, I think, on Sunday maybe. So yeah, the Bengals are looking bad, man. They're probably going to lose to the Cowboys. Anyways, the Jets versus the Chargers. I predicted the Chargers will beat the Jets 32-10. But in reality, I think they beat them, but it was by very little. I think it was only by 8 points or something. But yeah, those teams, when they play against each other, they're a lot more equally matched than we think they are. The Dolphins versus the Broncos. I picked the Dolphins will win by 7, but the Broncos upsetted the Dolphins. Drew Lock, those guys, you can't sleep on some of these teams, man. Just because they're not a Super Bowl contender doesn't mean that they're just going to lose, you know. And I think that losing for the Dolphins is good because Tua is a young quarterback. The guy's, 22 years old, and he thought the NFL was easy. So I think that was a humbling lesson for him to lose to 3-6 team or whatever. That really humbled him. And the Cowboys upset at the Vikings. I predicted the Vikings were going to blow them out 38-21. The Cowboys ended up beating the Vikings pretty good. And the Packers versus the Colts. I predicted the Colts would kind of blow out the Packers 33-20. I know that the Colts ended up beating the Packers. I can't remember if it was by 10 or 7 points, but I do know this. It was a competitive game, but the Colts, they had a stronger defense, and that's why they won. The Chiefs versus the Raiders. I predict the Chiefs will win 28-25. I think the Chiefs did end up beating the Raiders by just a few points. I think it was like 4 points. I was on point with that one. I believe these Rams and the Buccaneers. The Rams would beat the Buccaneers by 4 points. I don't know if the Rams ended up beating them by 3 points or whatnot, but my points, the difference between the points that I said the teams would score and the points that the teams actually scored was usually very few. I was usually on point, with my predictions. And, people ask me why I don't gamble, but it's just I don't trust the way those things work because it's like no matter what happens, you don't end up earning what you deserve to earn. Like as you can see here, I was 9-4 in me picking who would win last, on Sunday and Monday. I was 9-4 in my predictions, and the predictions of points, I was really close to what the teams actually scored on Sunday and Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference between what they scored and what I predicted them score was usually 5 to 6 points. You know, and it's crazy because like people predict that teams will score a lot of points just because the defenses are weak, but at the same time, a lot of offenses have been fumbling balls and dropping catches and just throwing picks and doing all types of incompetent things, and that's why these teams aren't scoring as much points as they could because everybody makes mistakes. You know.